Hi, in this video we are going to talk about the other trigonometric functions, secant, cosecant and cotangent. Permit me to introduce the cotangent function. Abbreviation, cot, definition, 1 over tangent x or cosine x over sine x. Graph, exact replica of the tangent function on the mirror. You can sense the vertical asymptotes at minus pi, 0, pi, so the period of cotangent function is the same as tangent function, which is pi or 180 degrees. Cotangent behaves positively on the first and the third quadrants because both sine and cosine are positive on the first quadrant and both of sine and cosine are negative on the third quadrant. So cotangent ends up being positive in first and third quadrants. Certainly, in the second and fourth quadrants, cotangent gives you negative values. Second is the secant function. Abbreviation, sec, definition, 1 over cosine x. And the graph? Well, the graph looks like a parabola repeating itself, both in negative y and y directions or paths, let's say. Also in here you can sense the vertical asymptotes at minus 3 pi over 2, minus pi over 2, pi over 2, 3 pi over 2 and so on. So period is 2 pi as in the cosine function because this part repeats itself in every 2 pi. On the unit circle, secant behaves exactly as cosine behaves, so it's positive on the first and the last quadrants, negative in the second and the third quadrants. This is for the function secant, but not second. Third and last but not least, cosecant function. Abbreviation, CSC, definition, 1 over sine x. Graph, exactly the same as the secant function translated pi over 2 units to right. And also you can sense here the vertical asymptotes like x equals minus pi, x equals 0, x equals pi, and so on. So the period for the cosecant function is exactly as the sine function, which is 2 pi or 360 degrees, because it repeats itself in every 2 pi. Cosecant function behaves exactly as sine function when it comes to the unit circle. It behaves positively in the first and second quadrant, but negatively in the third and fourth quadrants. So briefly, these are the other ones. So these functions are also known as the reciprocal trigonometric functions because they are defined to be 1 over tangent, 1 over cosine, 1 over sine, so the reciprocal of the trigonometric functions that we know of. At this point, you may wish to pause the video and write this information on your books. Now, when it comes to using these functions in calculations, unfortunately, we don't have any designated button for these functions. We only have sine, cosine, and tangent, and together with the shift, we have the inverse trigonometric functions, but no designated button for the reciprocal trigonometric functions. So you have to remember the definitions and calculate accordingly, which means you're going to write down fractions. Like for secant, it's going to be 1 over cosine of the angle, and for cotangent, it's going to be cosine of the angle divided by the sine of the angle. So you have to use the fraction button here. Also, while making calculations, make sure that your calculator is in the right mode. Is it degrees or radians? You're going to find out from the question. Now, a few examples. Show that tangent 60 times cosecant 60 gives 2. So if we go with the definitions, it's going to be sine 60 over cosine 60 times 1 over sine 60. And here I can simplify sine 60 is here, so I'm going to end up with 1 over cosine 60. Cosine 60 is 1 over 2, so you're going to end up with 2. But certainly you can just write this to your calculator and get the answer immediately. Let's look at this example now. It says sketch the graphs of y equals 4. Now, cosecant can also be expressed like this abbreviation here, cosec, and it's 4 cosecant of x, and there is y equals x here. We have to sketch the graphs of these two on the interval minus pi to pi. And then we're going to state the number of solutions to this given equation here. So we just look at the graph and state whether there's any solutions, and if any, the number of it. So let's look at the graph. So please notice that just because it's 4 times cosecant of x, the graph starts from 4 upwards and here minus 4 downwards, right? And y equals x is here. And in the given interval of minus pi to pi, there seems to be no solution because there is no intersection between y equals x and y equals 4 cosecant of x. So the answer is 0. So when it comes to the graphs of these trigonometric functions, these will be combined with the transformations and minimum maximum points. You can see all sorts of questions like this when it comes to graphs of these functions. But basically the new information is that these are the reciprocal trigonometric functions, and the definitions for these functions are as I presented here, and the only thing you have to do is to apply this new information to what you knew from P1 and P2. Now let's practice using our calculator with these 6 questions and submit our work to online self-check to make sure that our findings are correct. Thanks for watching.